one of the things that we sort of know how to make headway on this. It's changed the incentives for those traffickers. And right now, much too much of the U.S., the police and the prosecutors will go after those teenage girls out there in the streets. And the people who need to go after are those pimps in particular, the Johns too, but the pimps in particular. And one can do that. And it's so frustrating that that doesn't happen. One goes after the victims of this, these girls. I came across a case in Michigan the other day. A 15 or 16-year-old girl went missing. Her family was desperate. They looked all over for her. Finally, they searched Backpage.com. You know Backpage. They have a lot of prostitution. It's the leading place for advertising, prostitution advertising. They found her picture on Backpage. There was a phone number there to call to arrange meetings. They gave it to the police. The police, a cell number of the pimp. The police tracked her down to a motel. They raided the motel. There's a pimp with two girls, including this one. And then the police arrested the pimp. They also arrested this girl. And that is just a profound misunderstanding of who the victims and who the perpetrators are. Another issue that has to be much higher on the agenda is reproductive health. I think Mackenzie talked about that earlier. One of the things that has been so frustrating about the polarization of American politics in the last 20 years is that reproductive health, because of abortion politics, has become toxic. And so even aside from abortion, even on things that people overwhelmingly agree on, like maternal mortality, maternal health, like family planning, there's just no impetus to work on these issues. So huge numbers of women still die in childbirth. In this country, childbirth is a joyous occasion. In the country of Niger and West Africa, women have something like 1 in 7 lifetime risk of dying in childbirth. 1 in 2 minutes, once every 2 minutes, a woman dies in childbirth somewhere around the world. And for everyone who dies, you have about 20 who are injured. This is maybe, I've seen a lot of grim things in my reporting, but one of the grimmest is a childbirth injury that I bet some of you have heard of called an obstetric fistula. Do you know about a fistula? So it typically happens to a teenage girl whose pelvis is fully formed, that she's not really ready to have a child. But in any case, in delivery, there's obstructed labor. There's no doctor around to do a C-section. The fetus dies. She suffers. Her internal injuries, her internal tissues sort of rot away. And so she's left incontinent. She's leaking wastes. She smells. She stinks. She can't control herself. And she often also has nerve damage on her legs, so she can't walk. Mahabuba here was 12 years old when she was married to a 60-year-old man. She was not consulted. She got pregnant, gave birth by herself in the bush. That happened to her, obstructed labor. She wasn't ready to deliver this baby. It died. She suffered a very severe fistula. She was also had bilateral foot drop. She couldn't walk. The villagers, because she was stinking, because she was dribbling waste, they thought that she'd been cursed by God. They put her in a hut at the edge of the village, and they took out the door of the hut so the hyenas would get her that night. Mahabuba is also just the toughest person you can imagine. When the hyenas came, she can't stand up, she can't run, but there was a stick in the hut. She waved it around her head and shouted at the hyenas all night to fend them off. The next morning, she thinks that her only hope is to get to an American missionary who lives just over 30 miles away. She can't walk, so she sets off crawling. She crawls all day. In the evening, she still isn't there, so she pulls herself into a tree so the hyenas won't get her that night. Then, the next morning, lets herself down, keeps on crawling, finally arrives half dead at the doorstep of this missionary, who can immediately tell, partly from the sting, that she has a fistula. Takes her to a hospital in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, where she gets a $450 surgery. $450. Gives her for life.